You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Love. I know, right? We have a little bit of a podcasty voice for the intros.
I know it's so bad. And then we're fine on the podcast. But the intro, it's like, here we are.
I put it on.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you mean to?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I kind of have to like shift my head into a different perspective when we do those little beginnings to the episodes. Yeah. Otherwise, I sit there and ramble and like I have to get very focused. We have a message.
Right.
We're sending it out. We have some things to say. And each time it's like, I have to get into the,
Right? Here it is.
I have to get into that voice.
Yeah, the voice.
Otherwise, it's a nightmare.
And I just have random songs start playing in my head.
Yeah. What was it this time?
I bet you don't know it.
I bet I don't. That's why I asked.
So you remember the whole Jessica Simpson craze and how... Did you ever listen to Jessica Simpson?
Yes.
No, not at all.
No, baby. White.
She's a female singer, right up your alley. You did listen to Jessica Simpson because I sent you a couple of songs way back when.
Okay.
But I liked Jessica Simpson.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to her. Okay, Google.
Okay.
Keep cut together. Whatever happened to Jessica Simpson?
She has
Go ahead
a
and keep
clothing
talking.
line, perfume
Does
line,
she?
makeup line. I don't know. She's doing well, I think.
What happened to Jessica Simpson? Let's see what Google has to say.
I think she got
giant freaking robot, now 40 years old.
Giant
pop star, movie star,
freaking
reality
robot?
TV star Jessica Simpson has already lived a full life. She is twice married, currently to ex-Enfler Eric Johnson, and has 3 kids.
good for
Nice. She
her.
recently published her first book, a memoir titled Open Book.
All right. Well, they
Did
made
it just say
it was
big
like
robot
giant
or-
freaking robot or
That's
something.
funny.
I've never heard of that one.
AI is coming along?
Anyways, so
Sorry.
I like her. So she had a little sister named Ashley Simpson.
I
who-
remember that.
Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
She also came out with her album.
Okay.
And I remember one song that I didn't know until you said "That Love," and I heard LOLOLOVELO.
Is that Ashley Simpson or
that-
Jessica?
That's Ashley. Pretty sure.
So if
And
you
that's
are
the only line I remember is the LOLOLOVE. And I'm pretty sure I'm getting it right, but I also might not be. That's just what I heard. Dot love. And I'm like, dot.
little did you know that our podcast has taken a turn and we are now covering not 80s,
This is
early
it's
2000
2000, yeah.
pop songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how like I might be the only one on the planet that knows that song.
I don't
I'm
think
just
that's
kidding.
very likely.
Just kidding.
Anyways, I've got some
I'm gonna
stuff.
say, I can bear. You got some stuff?
Yeah. I had a thought that came to me this morning.
Shout out to the
out in the
Simpson
hot tub.
sisters.
Yeah, shout out. Come on the podcast, Jessica and Ashley. Yes, not yesterday, last week.
Okay.
Last week, you and I had, not just last week, the tumultuous life of Craig and Steph is an ongoing journey of all sorts of different things, right? And we're up and down and we're in and out and we're all over the place and we have good days and we have bad days and then we have more bad days and then we have half of a good day and then we have a little bit of a bad day and then we have great days.
Jesus Christ.
But last week, you and I both experienced, because I was thinking about it after the fact, you and I both experienced like an emotional breakdown, given our like standard attachment styles.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave me an eye. Do you not want to talk about, what are you doing? You're starting to write on yourself?
I am. I'm writing some protection symbols on myself and some releasing of triggers. So all the things that I've been mulling over don't come out in an intense way. They come out in a healthy way. And also protecting what I actually want to say and whatnot. So
Did I already
am
trigger you?
writing symbols on myself to take care of myself. So
Okay.
You are correct. You can write your own goddamn symbols on yourself. You don't know them. It sucks to be you.
Did I already trigger you?
No.
Do you know what I'm referencing?
I do, because I spent about an hour and a half, around 3:34-ish time, thinking about it last night.
Oh, did you?
I did. So that's why I'm like, symbols on my body, symbols on my body.
Interesting. And I woke up and got in the hot tub and thought about it.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about my, my breakdown, my outburst.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that afternoon where I just got really angry and started attacking like verbally, obviously I wasn't attacking anybody, but do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then it was just like this really intense peak, and then you kind of just wrote it with me, and then I settled down. And then a few days before that, or maybe earlier that day, or I don't remember the timeline, you had kind of a panic attack that got pretty intense.
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about those.
Okay.
Because I think it's a good example of like both of us reverting back to our attachment style, and then the outburst that comes from that attachment style. So like I'm super avoidant, you're super anxious. And then when we get really, really triggered, we fall into those places and then have an emotional outburst / whatever we want to call it, right? Panic attack but I think it's just a good example of the opposite ends of the spectrum and how they can look. Do you want to talk about it or not really?
Well,
you keep drawing on yourself.
I am. And I'm hoping they're going to like start seeping into my blood and working. I'm also like really like, this is, I can talk about it to a point, but there's a whole lot that, I'm not, I don't know. This might be too raw. I'm still in a lot of process, and there are things that like we have not discussed, and I don't know, so I'm still in a lot of process. So I feel like right now I'm still figuring things out. Right now, this is pretty raw for me, and I have some issues with it, and I have some concerns, and I have some things that I'm figuring out what it means for me, and I haven't felt comfortable including you in that yet, because you've got it figured out. You're here, you're avoidant, I'm attached, all of this. And I'm like, I have not been attached to you during this. I've been very avoidant. So there's a whole lot that's going on that you don't have a clue about, that I'm like, I'm not comfortable coming to you yet. So, and I don't know that I like, this isn't like the best example because I'm in deep process that I'm not allowing you to be a part of.
Okay.
Right now. So, and we've been very distracted with other things.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to just be something that was like a good example of how we supported each other in those spaces.
We did.
Because I thought we did a good job of supporting each other as we went through the
I guess I'm hitting the origination point, because what you're talking about, because like it started with, I don't know where you're starting. I know it started with
well, mine started when I was about 6 months old inside, before I had even been born.
Okay. I'm trying to like,
mine started a long time ago.
There's just times like there's always an ongoing conversation, right? There's things that come up, and there's times you knock it out of the park, and then there's times things are like, we have so much going on right now that trying to come to terms with everything that's happening is kind of hard, because we have a lot to do. So we don't have the luxury, as most people don't have the luxury, to sit down and just hash it out.
Hash out every issue.
Yeah. So there's things that it's like, I'm still processing. There's things that I'm sure you're still processing. All of the stuff that happened before this day is what I'm not like settled in. There's things that I have like, that I'm still having a lot of decisions to make on how it's affecting me.
Okay.
But so then we just talk about, it's hard because I'm like raw over here.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're like, well, here's this trigger, and I got really ornery and angry, and you just rode the wave with me, and you had a panic attack, and you're anxious. I'm like, oh, buddy, you're triggering me right now. Yes, I got emotional, and my heart was hurting, and I was crying, and I rode your wave. I rode your angry wave, and it was okay. And then I cried and you rode my cry wave and it was okay.
I don't think these things happened on the same day.
They didn't happen on the same day. But there's been a lot. So we had some intensity, and then I went to a doctor, which I haven't done in a very, very, very long time. And it was intense. And you're wrapping everything up in the doctor. And it's like coming before that. And so, no.
I wasn't, no.
I thought that's what you said. You're like, this is still like spilling over from Tuesday. And I was like, yeah, it is. That's also a factor.
Oh, on the day.
Days are blending.
Everything blends.
Right?
Yeah, everything blends. Well, we don't have to go into this because it sounds like obviously there's a lot that you're processing that I'm not aware of.
So we did a good job of
supporting each other.
And we're still doing a good job of supporting each other.
I feel like I'm not.
But there's things that I'm actually waiting for my next therapy call.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for help in processing and trying to go about it in a healthy way with the outside party.
Should we call her up, see if she's available?
So like I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm still working through stuff and then getting a non-objective, impartial person to help me process my emotions that doesn't have an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Which is like I don't know. I know, fun. Like, well, let's get into that. Now, sometimes you just have to wait to talk to your therapist before you can get into conversations, and that's okay.
Absolutely. That's okay. And I'm sitting here and I'm trying to decide where do we go from this point? Because I had no idea that. I thought this was like literally, I'm like, this will be a good little thing we can talk about on the podcast because we'll be able to just highlight like what it felt like to support me and what it felt like to support you and what it felt like to be supported.
Yeah.
But we don't have to do that.
I'm doing my best.
You're
like,
doing great.
I'm trying to navigate between what is a trauma response, which is my avoidant tactics, which is my disengaging and unhealthy behaviors, and what is healthy discernment, which is healthy, like what is actually true and what I need to not diminish myself and try and be like, oh, this is your fault. This isn't, like, I'm trying to go about it, like helping with my patterns right now.
Okay.
And am I like how I want to proceed in this next part from my best self. I don't want to trauma respond all over you. But I also don't want to not have accountability for myself or hold you accountable if things are needed. And there's so much going on right now that I need support and help with this process because I can tell that I'm very reactive, and I'm reactive because something activated me. So there's room for both to be true, and I need help processing. So instead of dumping it out all over you, I'm waiting for my therapist to help me process and to help me use my tools. Because there's a lot of tools we can use on our own and that we have. And I use a lot of tools on my own. And then sometimes I need help. So I keep calling her my therapist. She's like, coachy lady.
This thing came up. I mean, not this thing. Well, let's go into this then, rather than trying to go back into that space and talk. Like, first and foremost, thank you. I felt like you really did a beautiful job of supporting me during my emotional outburst that manifested in a bunch of anger and frustration and lashing out. And you did a really good job of just kind of letting me have that experience, and like you maintained and didn't get super triggered in order to like dive down into because sometimes that's what it feels like, where, you know, one of us is behaving from a triggered, wounded place, and the other person kind of ends up falling down into that pit of shit with them. Right. and reacting and just stirring up all the stuff together, right? But you did a really good job that day of not doing that and kind of maintaining the safe place for me to experience what I was experiencing, as well as just kind of supporting me through it. And then I really, really noticed how different it felt to just be like, because what it felt like for me, babe, was I threw a tantrum. Like it literally, when it was all said and done, I'm like, oh, I just threw a tantrum. Like I just got upset and threw a fit. And you let me throw the fit. And then afterwards, I wasn't punished for that behavior. I wasn't punished for throwing said fit.
Yeah.
And that felt really different. It's almost like I was waiting afterwards to be really defensive. And
I get that.
I didn't, we kind of just let it go. And that felt really good.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we didn't let it go.
No, it's not that day. It's before that. But I'm still riding the waves. So I hear that and I'm defensive. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I'm defensive still because I haven't sorted out my emotions, because I'm connecting everything. And that was like the latest.
Yeah.
So I don't have. So if what you're, oh gosh, I'm not doing a good job of explaining because I'm trying really hard to not let it just come out, because I'm afraid it's going to come out messy. And I don't want it to come out all over you. I'm good with sharing with you and sharing my feelings, but I don't have confidence in like not to be reactive all over you. And if I have a choice to not react all over you, I'm going to choose that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'm at right now. I just need a little bit of guidance. So I'm getting some guidance. Your outburst is after all of that. But it still has the charge, not your outburst, but the charge of all the things that have been leading up to that. That was like, as you said, like the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks, has been one charge after the other.
Yeah, pretty intense.
And the first charge has rocked me. I'm not, that the first charge is what the conversation is, what I need to go over with support. And so everything after that, while it still feels connected, is kind of tainted.
And I have no idea what the first charge is.
Seriously? Okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. So that's where I'm processing. Yes, I did a good job supporting you. I feel like I did. There was times when I was like, oh, he's not attacking you. This isn't about you. It's okay. And then realizing that you were scared.
Yes.
And then it really sucked. Like, I didn't want you to have to support me through my panic. I did not want to. My energy right now isn't like, I was like, this hurts and I'm scared, and like realizing why I'm scared, but support feels kind of
dangerous.
Like, it does. It feels dangerous. And I think so much of it is just, I don't know where I'm coming from. I'm still processing so much. So I'm watching tactics, I'm watching angles, I'm watching patterns, which all are getting stirred up for me right now.
Yeah.
And so I can see past behaviors, past programming trying to take the reins, so to speak. And I'm trying really hard to not. There's so many times when it's like, oh, I can make a different choice and it's okay. And then there's other times when I'm like, this is deep. This horse is wild and I need a little help because I don't know. I just need support. It's okay to need support.
It's totally okay. So
you did a good job, and you were also not, like you asked, does, like, when it's touch, which isn't very often, if it feels okay. Just with the support, like when I'm in the emotion.
Yeah.
Like, does this feel okay? Or like a hug, and realizing that I don't want to be held right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be held. I don't want to be, I don't want you to soothe it for me. I want to soothe it for myself. So like my weighted blanket will come into play, or, these little things where I want to soothe it myself. I like you sitting next to me, but I want to soothe it myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of this is going to make sense, because
I don't know if any of this is going to make sense either.
because it's like, you did a good job, I did a good job, we did a good job, and I'm also doing like a good job by saying I need to hit pause on this and get support so I can make sure that I'm showing up in a healthy way, because that's really, really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to me when I'm recognizing activation in my body to make a different choice.
I'm gonna describe something.
And write symbols on my hands.
Right. I'm gonna describe.
See, they're working. I'm like, oh, I'm staying in self energy.
I'm gonna describe something that I'm doing right now, and I'm asking if you do it too.
Okay.
So,
no.
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot focus on anything else other than what potentially you're talking about.
Okay.
Like,
I've been focusing on that too in the middle of the night. Try not to.
Like,
Yes, I do it.
because you referenced this, we had a rough week, and then you've been processing, and it, I wanted to highlight this support that and you're like, yeah, oh, that's great, but I'm processing this thing that came before all of that, like this original thing that kind of sparked a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I feel like there was like an epicenter.
Yeah.
And
I cannot not think about that epicenter now.
Okay.
And I'm doing everything that I possibly can. Like there's this internal struggle that's happening inside of me where I'm recognizing that you're speaking really clearly, your boundaries, you're speaking really clearly. I'm in the thick of trying to process this, and I want to do it in a healthy way. And I fully realize that I need some help, and I don't want to kind of have all of my shit come out all over you. Simply because this is a major kind of triggering experience or point for me. And so I'm kind of in the thick of trying to process all of that, and I want to do it in a different way than I have in the past. So I hear that.
Okay.
And then I have I have another part of me that cannot sit still and is so anxious and is like fighting everything that I possibly can to not pick at that scab, to not continually point at that thing in order to find out what it is, because it creates so much fear in me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm fully recognizing what I'm doing right now. And it's like, even me talking about it like this is in a way trying to like,
get me to explain it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm feeling the anxiety building in my body. And like, I have had two panic attacks that I can see in this last little bit. And that was the first one. So when you said it and you had a panic attack, that's immediately what I went to, which is why I'm like, I'm not ready to talk about this. I didn't like have enough of a connection that it was the second part. You're like, I thought we did a good job. And then,
So what's happening inside of me is I'm feeling, so you can kind of relate to first off what I'm talking about.
I'm anxious too.
And I'm realizing that like, I can remember feeling like this when I was little, where it's like, something is wrong, but you don't know what it is. And you want to find out what it is because you're afraid.
I'm feeling uncomfortable. Yeah. You're feeling afraid. I want to be able to help you in this moment without feeling pressure to talk about something I'm not ready to.
Yeah. And I don't want you to talk about I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm trying to talk about the thing that happens when something like this happens.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like this happens sometimes where, hey, I have something I want to talk to you about, but I want to make sure that and you're like, okay, cool. I totally respect that. I have an adult version of myself that's like supportive of what you're going through and wanting to recognize and honor your boundary, and you've spoken it clearly, and all of that's happening. And then I have this other part of me.
It's what I thought you were bringing up, though. I didn't realize it wasn't what you were bringing up, because it's what my crazy brain heard. So I thought, you're poking at this right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. There's this, I'm not ready. I didn't realize that we were talking about two separate things, because everything's connected.
In your mind.
Yes, in my mind.
No,
everything is
connected. I didn't mean that in a mean way.
I have it where it started in my brain, which can be a completely different.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry that you feel the way that you feel.
It's okay.
And I'm like, you brought it up. I'm like, actually, you didn't bring it up, but it's what it sounded like to me. I thought that's what you were referencing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not talking about this right now.
This sucks.
So we just have this like, and it's because it's affecting me so hard that it's on my surface. So like that sucks. I'm really sorry that I misunderstood. Also, I don't know, because they are all connected. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry that now you're uncomfortable.
It's okay.
And I'm so like, I wasn't like dangling this thing of like, oh, here's a problem, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I thought you were referencing it, and then you weren't.
Yeah.
And I thought you were like connecting them all too, not just you got angry and I had emotion.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were just like, this is just this little event here. Because you also started with being like the last week, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So it sounded like you were.
It's just highlighting how hard it's been.
My brain heard what I'm feeling, not what you were saying.
Now I'm yawning. I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah. But I will support you the best I can through this and to help you feel safe in this like unsettling thing. And just like, some things, like we have that agreement. Some things are for our therapists. Some things are for our coaches. Some things are for our teammates before. And then we get to bring them. And it's not that we're not coming together. And so much of our stuff we process ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we have coach. That's why we have people to help.
Yes.
Because you can't do it all on your own.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to. We're getting the help.
Yeah. So I'm just acknowledging.
I'm panicking.
Yeah. You don't need to do anything.
I don't want you to feel bad.
And that's
and be
okay.
afraid.
I get that, right? I don't want you to feel bad. Like I feel really bad that I decided to bring up this conversation.
You didn't bring up the conversation I thought you were bringing up, though.
And, you know, I'm the one that led us to this spot. So I feel bad for that. But no, I'm just really aware of like the amount of energy that it's taking for me. And like I said, even me talking about it is in some way, shape, or form still trying to like poke the bear. But I'm not.
Poke the bear?
I'm not doing that, Stephanie. And I know you're not. I think it's important to highlight that this thing happens. And I'm sure we're not the only people that experience this, where it's like suddenly I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard for me to move away from this moment and away from this topic without finding out what it is.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I find out what it is, even if it is like the horriblest, scariest thing in the world, right? Even if it is like, once you know, then you know.
Yeah. Then it's no longer an unknown, which is scary.
Yeah. And it's like this a massive amount of suddenly everything. It's Austin Powers pointing at the mole, right?
Yeah,
it's
mole.
like, exactly. It's, I can't not look at it now, even though I recognize that it's not time to.
Yeah.
Even though I recognize that in doing so, like in order to assuage this anxiety and this fear that's existing inside of me, I then have to like take it and in one way, shape, or form, put it onto you. So then you feel all of your shit surrounding this, and you know what I mean? And then finally I'm like, oh, I know what it is. Cool. Yeah, we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah. And then I'm sitting here stewing in all my, and then I expressed something that I wasn't ready to. So I was vulnerable and then feeling like crap from being vulnerable and then not supported in this highly charged thing.
Yeah.
And instead of us doing that,
and I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. And then also think about like another perspective is I can react all over you.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like shit.
Yeah.
I don't like how that feels when I've reacted all over you. You don't like how it feels to be reacted all over. That feels like shit.
Yeah.
When somebody processes all over you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying I recognize my patterns right now and I'm struggling seeing around them. So I'm waiting for help.
When's your next therapy?
My point is like, this is us being supportive of each other.
Yeah, it is. It's
You're
really
not,
hard.
Like, can you like maybe try this? I recognize this pattern and I'm catching it before.
Yeah.
Like that is me loving not just myself, but loving you. I'm catching it before I am spiraling it out all over you.
I love it.
Even though it's on my mind so strong. That's what I heard you talking about. And I got very scared and you know, because it's strong. So I'm acting in our best interest. I am acting like I don't know how to communicate without coming at.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting help. I'm loving you enough to not make this your problem when I don't think it's your problem. I think it's my patterns, and I think it's wounds that I have. And so I'm seeking legitimate help in helping me work through these patterns instead of painting you with my shit.
Okay. I think I feel like we have.
Oh, I forgot to breathe.
Yeah.
In through your nose.
Yeah, this is a healthy thing that we're doing in this moment.
And it feels awkward.
I don't
and
like it.
Difficult. Do you really not, though? Think about it. Would it? Oh, it's okay. I don't like it either. It's okay.
just really interesting because
I'm starting to sweat. I think
I
it's getting
do
weird
feel
up in here.
like there's a part of me that it's almost like this is the feeling that I'm getting, right? I can relate this feeling to like like I remember doing shit when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And then like I remember there was one time when I was a little kid. Little is relative, right? 7, 8, 9. I don't know how old I was. I wasn't very old. And I ran into the wall like with my shoulder, and not like, oh, I bumped into the wall. I was angry and upset, and I charged into my closet, tucking my shoulder, and caved in the what's it called?
Drywall?
Wall.
Yeah.
Like... Caved, and it wasn't a hole. It was a fucking caved it in.
Yeah.
Like with my body.
There was a body print.
Yeah. Huge, like, big hole.
Big hole.
Big crack. Big
visual
breakage.
Representation of the anxiety and the pain, the torment, the anger that was inside you.
Big damage to the wall.
Everybody can see it now.
And as soon as I did it, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Oh, God, what just happened? I was in so much trouble. And I remember feeling all of this like fear and anxiety over what was going to happen when my dad got home from work. And then it was like that period, even after he got home, like that period of waiting to find out what your punishment is, almost in a sense. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what this feels like.
Okay.
Where it's bringing, we're not going to discuss, we're just talking around this thing. We're doing a really unhealthy, beautiful job of beating around this bush.
I think we're also expressing our feelings in a charged situation without making the other feel responsible or bad.
Yeah. I think this is just really interesting because I'm recognizing
it's bringing up this feeling in you.
Yeah. Like I feel like I am anticipating my punishment.
Right.
Where I have disrupted your nervous system. I have upset you. I have caused you pain and suffering. I have done something wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's like that level of doing something wrong where I caved in sheetrock.
Okay.
And now I have to just sit here and wait to find out what my punishment is going to be, right? It's like this very uncomfortable, like, oh my God, I can't. And it's like, all I want to do is like, tell me now, punish me now.
Right.
Tell me what's going to happen.
Do you want to dig into that just a little bit?
No, what? I thought that's what I was doing.
You are like, that is like you connected what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
Like, so what this feels like as being a child.
Yeah.
And about to, like, you're waiting for your dad to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a fucking shitty feeling. Mm-hmm. So now we bring, like, you connected to when you first felt this way.
Yeah.
You
I don't know the first time I felt this way.
This is where your body memory went.
Stands out. Yeah,
this is where it's like, this is what it feels like.
Yes.
And so when we start to look at that, even if you did mess up, even if this thing is, you were wrong. Mm-hmm. This is just like try and stay with me.
I'm doing my best,
You're
babe.
doing so good. Even if you put a big old dent in the drywall. Mm-hmm. Okay. Even if that's the case, when you sit with me and you do something wrong, do you have to, am I going to physically hurt you?
No.
So you don't have to be afraid that I'm coming at you.
Correct.
And you know that when you make mistakes, as you're a human, so you've made mistakes. Humans, I still love you.
Yes.
So much.
Yeah.
And I love you enough to not take out my fears and my anxiety and my wounds all over you. So even if it comes out that you did something wrong and that I am having this reaction because you made a choice that was hurtful, I'm still choosing to not punish you. I'm still choosing to handle my emotions and how I react and how I respond. So if I come to you and say, this hurt me, Craig, then we have a conversation. I am still choosing to say, even if you were wrong, I'm not going to punish you. I'm not going to make you hurt because of how it feels inside of me. I'm going to talk to you about what I'm feeling. And I'm going to handle my shit beforehand so that I'm not, for one, punishing you for being a human, and I'm not taking out shit that has nothing to do with you and making it your problem to handle and fix.
Yeah.
I'm loving you and I'm supporting you.
Yeah, I heard about 20% of what you just said.
Well, hopefully it kicks in when you hit the replay, because I'm not going to make you sit there and take more. But I'm being on Team Us.
I see that.
Team Us.
I see that. I'm trying to do the same.
You're doing a good job. You wouldn't have let this go before. You wouldn't have let this go. This would have been something that you would have latched onto. And it would have like turned into a thing. Then my reactions, it would have been a thing. We would have handled this like, rawr.
Yeah.
But we're both coming from this in a healthy way.
Yeah. Well,
healthier than we have. There's always room for improvement. And I feel like we're doing a good job. And years down the road, as we keep growing, because we keep growing and everybody keeps growing, we'll do it in a healthier way. But we are taking the steps to take care, and we're growing and we're learning just like everybody else is. And we're having support for it. You're what?
I'm really fascinated by the feeling that this is.
Yeah.
Like it's really it's really fascinating to me that I can relate so much the sensations that I've been feeling this entire episode to the same sensations that I would be feeling as a child. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And then trying to do something with those feelings different. Like all the things that are taking place in my body right now. Like I can feel the tension. I can feel trying to hold this thing inside, that I can feel it in my throat and in my chest. And like being able to do something different with those feelings.
Yeah.
Rather than just have them dump out all over you. Because like you said, I you know, our stuff is always our stuff, right? It's our shadow. It's not yours or mine. So we're sharing in this together. But I'm fairly certain, based off of what you've said and also how you've said it, and like you have said this on this episode, is it's like what you're feeling is, it's your stuff. You're being triggered by stuff, and you don't want that to come out all messy all over me. And I appreciate that immensely. I think that's what that's what our parents did a lot. That's what all parents do, right? Where you get triggered and upset and have some sort of reaction that sparks something inside of you, and then you dish that all out all over your kids. And so it's almost like I have to expect it. You know, it's so hard. I don't like it. I don't like any of this. I hate all of this. This is super, super uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I'm just like, fuck this. Probably should have talked about something else.
I'm hanging on by a thread over here. Trying to I'm with you, Craig.
Yeah. Well, you've done a beautiful job of being able to articulate yourself and acknowledge where you're at. And I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time not, it's hard for me to look at you right now, not because you've done anything wrong. I feel very much like a little kid that has done something wrong. So I'm feeling very much like, do you know what I mean? Like when you're ashamed and you're a little kid and like you don't make eye contact with your kid, with your parents, and like you just feel really, really bad. So that's why it's hard for me to look at you right now.
Yeah.
But it's not because you've done anything wrong or I'm upset with you at all.
I hear you.
I'm really actually proud of you, and I'm really excited for us to have just talked about this dumb shit and processed this in the way that we have, in a much different way and in a much healthier way, and in a way that will be potentially a lot just better for us in a sense, right? And I can recognize that, like, I don't need to poke the bear, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes the bear gets upset and the bear can just kind of have its feelings and its emotions. And I don't need to poke the bear and be like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, okay. Whew.
Yeah. Bear's going crazy and you're like, well, I'm fine.
Right.
Right.
It's so funny too, because I remember the same sensation where it's like, as soon as you find out, like if my parents were mad at one of my brothers, I'm like, oh, whew. Okay, it's not me. And then all of that anxiety just goes, whew, gone. And then you're like back to regulation and you're fine. And I'm like, there is a part of me that has a little bit of comfort in a sense, knowing that like earlier you mentioned that this is your stuff and you're getting triggered and it's bringing up, and I can see that, right? I can acknowledge that like that happens in our relationship, and like knowing that this is your stuff that's getting triggered and brought up, even though I definitely have played a role in it. There is a part of me that has a little bit of relief knowing that that's all that it is in a sense. And like you said, everything is safe. That's so funny, right? Like neither one of us is in danger. Neither one of us is going to get hurt. Neither one of us is going to get in trouble. You know,
I've got narrative going through my head too.
Yeah. You're not going to ground me or, punish me or stop loving me or stop talking to me. Like we'll finish this episode and hang out and do something the rest of the day. And, but man, that shit in your body is so fucking old.
Yep, it is.
I don't like it. Not what I expected us to talk about. Can you relate to that experience of what I just got done kind of describing, I suppose?
Completely.
That feeling of anxiety and fear over the impending punishment or whatever is going to come.
I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
I haven't told you. You know there's something and I haven't told you. And now it's this thing of like I'm feeling like how before it has been drawn out of me. And it's like I don't have to. I don't have to say this. And I can. But right now where I'm at, like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like the I can absolutely see that this is not our relationship. I can absolutely see the feeling that's coming up right now is the thought is like, this is going to get beat out of me. You've never put a hand on me. And I can see like the images I'm seeing isn't you. Wow. But I'm still feeling like this is going to get beat out of me. And I'm having so much fear inside me right now. And I'm like, that is also an indicator of I need support through this. These are programs. These are old shit that's coming up because it's not even the mask of your face. I can see the faces.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Steph, where are you right now? But still inside my body is like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. And I'm trying to be okay with it. I can relate to what you're saying. And I'm trying really, really hard. This is the work. And this is the benefit of the work, is being able to make different choices the best you can, even when it's really scary, because it's really scary.
Yeah, like 3 minutes into this episode, both of our nervous systems just went
Start trying to like
broke, and
help.
we both got incredibly super activated and triggered into early childhood shit.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we managed to continue the podcast and talk through
We
it.
did. See, look at us. I mean, we'd high five if we could handle that right now. Right now, we're like, we're like the great outdoors. That old guy that kept getting struck by lightning, and he hears it and he's like, we're like, we're not even afraid of the bald-headed bear or bald-butted bear. We're just like, oh my God, lightning.
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do any more.
Let's go to bed. Go take a nap.
Yeah. Healing's hard, man.
It's hard. But it's like, this is so hard. This is so much better than attacking and placing all of this tension and shame and fear and anger that is just covering all the fear and sadness all over the other person.
Yeah.
I'm holding my container and being like, wow, I don't need to get relief by putting it on you. And you are holding your container and you're like, I don't need to get relief by putting it on you.
Yeah.
I'll still talk to you and be like, this is what I'm feeling. And this is where my boundaries are with it. This is where your boundaries, like, we're still doing our best. And like I said, years down the road, we're going to be like, oh, wow, we're going to have better tools because we keep working at it.
I'm so ready for the 10-year version of us from now.
Right.
Like, I love this 10-year version of us, right?
From this 10-year version is pretty badass.
Hell yeah.
And then next 10-year version is going to be even better.
Like, can we fast forward? I know we can't, but I'm like, let's look at us in 10 years.
We could fast forward and then we would be in the same exact spot and have to do it another 10 years.
Fast forward, given the work that we've done during the 10 years and then the versions that we are then.
Yeah, it's happening right now. We just aren't tapped into that space.
I had this thought this morning when I was journaling. Like, the words came to me. I should have written them down.
In your journal.
They are written down in the journal. I just don't have the journal with me. And it's so simple, but it just was really profound in the moment. And like most things, it's probably only profound to me. But today is the day.
Today is the day. I get that.
Right?
You have nothing other than right now.
Yeah.
The past is gone.
Because I was sitting there writing this morning and I was asking for a bunch of help. And I was like, I need help with this. I need help with, like, all these things that are, we're going through and processing and experiencing and that are coming up for us. I'm like, list, help, please. Universe, help. Yeah. And then I was like, today is the day. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I got to worry about is today. And it was like, oh, cool. I don't have to worry about tomorrow. Nope. Just worry about today. And you don't even have to worry about today. Right. You just get to live today. You just get to experience today. You get to do today what you want to do today. Because today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today is the only day.
Mm-hmm.
What about tomorrow? Well, tomorrow will be today. But it won't be today until tomorrow. So today is the day.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, huh?
That's pretty good.
I liked it. I mean, it's not mine. I didn't hashtag it. But today is the day. Today is the only day. And it's the only day that we have. And that's not like the end of the world, doom and gloom. It's like, just be today. Do today. Worry about today. Live today. Be present for today.
Wherever you are.
Today's the day. That's all we got. Cool.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, even if right now is hard as hell, even if you were going through it and it's like you're feeling at your lowest, today is the day, which means you don't have to carry that till tomorrow. Yeah. You don't have to carry that. You don't, like, when you're like putting that and all the out there. Like, I just love that. Today's the day. You get to make today what it is. So even if it's like, because you might not be having a great day today, today's the day might be a really, really messed up day. And it's just today. It's temporary. It's just today.
Just today.
It's today.
Yeah.
Everything can change in a blink of an eye. Everything will change in the blink of an eye.
Yes. And we'll blink now, and next episode will be different.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everybody. And I'm sure people got stuff from this, because we are not alone in these feelings.
Yeah.
We are not alone in the way that this manifests and shows up in our relationship. We know that for sure. This is very common. And we just moved through it in a beautiful way. I'm really proud of us. Good job.
Good job.
Yeah. Tell somebody about this podcast. If you like the podcast, tell somebody about it. It's all we ever ask of you, people listening out there in the universe. Just tell somebody about this podcast and share it with them. You can share this episode. You can share your favorite episode. You can send them to our social media. You can do all of those things, and make sure you go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. In the really, really close future, not today, but in the really, really close future, we're going to be sending out information about our free couples shadow work program, as well as other things that are coming in the works down the pipeline, all over the place. So, I love you, Steph.
I love you.
Tell somebody about the podcast.